The night bus with no route. Last stop, nowhere. It always came at 2:17 a.m. Not every night. Just the ones when the streets were too quiet, and the air felt heavy like something was waiting. Darren first saw it on a Thursday. He was walking home late from a night shift, hoodie up, earbuds in, halfway through a true crime podcast he'd heard before. The bus rolled through the fog, headlights low and yellowed, barely cutting the dark. No sound, no engine hum. Just there. Sudden. Wrong. It didn't have a route number. No destination sign. Just a black LED panel at the top blank. But it stopped. The doors opened, and no one got off. Darren stood frozen at the corner. He shouldn't have moved. But something curiosity, instinct, something older made him step closer. The bus looked old. Not vintage. Just off. Too narrow. Windows tinted too dark. The paint was city colors, but no logos. No license plate. He pulled out his phone. Camera app froze. Battery dropped from 38% to 0. Screen went black. From the open doorway, the driver turned. Not fully. Just enough for Darren to see no face. Just a mouth. Smiling. Wide. Still. Waiting. Darren didn't get on. He backed away. The doors closed. The bus pulled off soundlessly, vanishing into the mist before the next street lamp. He went home. Didn't sleep, didn't tell anyone, but he watched the street every night for a week. And on Wednesday, at exactly 2:17, it came back. The third time the bus appeared, Darren stepped off the sidewalk. It hissed to a stop. Doors already folding open before he got close. No destination sign, no route number, no driver badge. Just the quiet hum of something waiting. He stepped inside. The air was too still. Not warm, not cold. Like it had been recycled for too long. There were no ads on the walls, no graffiti, no cameras. Just rows of seats, gray and plastic, some occupied. He didn't realize it at first. Not until he passed the middle row and noticed the passengers weren't moving. Not sleeping, not breathing, just sitting. Their faces too blank. One blinked, not at him, but toward the window, and smiled. Darren kept walking. The driver never spoke, only stared forward, hands still on the wheel, engine not idling, but breathing a low, mechanical sound with something like a heartbeat beneath it. He took a seat near the back. The second he sat, the lights flickered. The doors closed, the bus started rolling. No jolt, no motion. But the world outside began to shift. Street lamps blurred, buildings tilted, windows disappeared, signs reversed. He looked at his phone. The lock screen was gone. Only one thing on the display: no stops after this. The bus moved through places that didn't belong to the city. Overpasses where the pillars were made of rusted pipes. Tunnels that went deeper than they should, lined with teeth-like tiles. Once, they passed a payphone hanging in the middle of an empty field ringing. He turned to the nearest passenger, a man in a business suit. Still expressionless. But Darren could hear something from his mouth, not speech, but a faint recording on loop. A child's voice saying, "I'm almost home! I'm almost home! I'm almost home!" Over, and over, and over. Darren stood up, walked to the front. "Hey," he said to the driver. "Where are we going?" The driver didn't answer, but a voice came through the bus speaker. Not robotic, not human. His own voice. "You wanted to see where it goes. You stepped on? That was your choice. Now you'll see the others. Outside the windows now. Not streets. Hallways. Flickering fluorescence. Carpet stained with footprints. Office chairs overturned. Walls twitching at the edges like they were trying to remember what shape they had. The bus passed a row of mirrors, each reflecting the interior of the bus. Only in the reflections. The copy didn't stop waving. Its hand moved in slow, perfect rhythm, back and forth, palm out, as if it had just taken Darren's place, and was grateful. Darren lunged down the aisle. But with every step, the bus seemed longer. Rows of seats stretched out, folding into more than geometry allowed. He passed the same woman 3 times, same coat, same glasses, same unmoving stare. The reflection in the window showed her head turning to follow it, but she never moved, not directly. The lights above flickered, buzzed, then stabilized. Soft blue hue, like the inside of a vending machine. Darren reached the front, grabbed the driver by the shoulder. It was cold, like metal. He turned it forcefully, but there was nothing beneath the hood. No face, only static where a head should be. A roiling blur of pixels and screen tear, like TV snow in the shape of memory. The speakers crackled again. "You don't belong in the front. Sit down. You're a passenger." Darren stumbled back. The bus jerked once. Not like hitting a bump, more like the world outside blinked, and they were somewhere else. The windows now showed a town with no doors. Houses with lights on but no windows. No sidewalks. Just wide open lawns where people stood perfectly still under porch lights. Every one of them was watching the bus. Some were crying, some were smiling, some were holding hands with figures that looked just a bit too still to be alive. Darren saw a street sign out the left window. "Memory LN, route null." And another flashing red banner on a digital board outside a burned-down gas station. "Last chance to forget." He turned. All the passengers now had their heads tilted toward him. Still not blinking, still not speaking, but they were closer. The aisles had narrowed, and he couldn't remember which seat was his. He turned to the window, desperate to track something familiar. A building, a road, a skyline. But what he saw instead was his own apartment, outside, right there, passing by. He saw himself at the window, looking out, like he'd never left. And in the seat next to him now, real close, breathing, the copy leaned in and whispered in his voice, "You're the last one who hasn't let go." The bus slowed, not with brakes, just stopped moving. But not truly. Still, the floor seemed to pulse under Darren's feet, like the vehicle itself was breathing, alive. A lung full of passengers who had forgotten when to exhale. The doors hissed open, but outside, there was no street, only fog, white, endless, drenched in humming, like fluorescent lights over water. A shadow moved in it, tall, thin, too far to see, clearly. Too interested. The speaker crackled again. "Final boarding. Next to depart, you." Darren stepped forward. The copy followed. It moved just behind him like a reflection catching up. "I don't belong here," Darren muttered. The voice behind him, his own, whispered, "That's what they all say, right before they sit back down." He looked around. Every passenger was now standing, motionless, facing him. Some familiar. One looked like his old college roommate. One looked like his mother, younger. Another wore his exact uniform from the restaurant where he worked 5 years ago. All had his face now. Slight variations. Smiles. Frowns. All still. All waiting. Outside the door, the fog began to clear. Not revealing a station. Not a street. But a room. His room. Not as it was now, as it used to be. Old desk, cracked phone charger, jacket he'd lost 2 years ago. And someone sitting at the computer, hunched forward, not moving. He recognized the back of that head, the sound of breathing, the soft tap of keyboard keys, typing the words he was now thinking, "You're not on the bus. You never were." He stepped off, 1 foot into the room. The bus behind him was silent now. No engine, no lights. When he turned back, there were no windows, no door. Just the wall of his room and his reflection in the dark monitor screen. Except, it wasn't him. It was the copy. Smiling, sitting, breathing, waiting. And from somewhere deep in the speakers, just before the monitor went black, he heard it one last time. "Next route begins in 3 minutes. Please remain seated." Tri-side, they called home.